Welcome back to the Brawn Body Podcast. We have a very special episode for you today. So this is our 50th podcast episode. It's kind of crazy to think we've already hit episode 50. This is also our last episode of 2020. So we are at the end of season 1 already. It's crazy to think. And most importantly, we have a very special guest joining us on the show today. My good friend, Megan McEvoy, is coming on to talk a little bit about her life and her journey. I'm not really going to spoil anything, but essentially Megan has been diagnosed with this very rare condition, and she does not let it hold her back. She defies the odds and continues to live her life to the fullest. So I'm going to turn it over to the episode. Hope you enjoy. So Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you've had quite a journey here from what I understand. And I know you've been diagnosed with this rare disease. What exactly is that rare disease that you have?
It's called laryngeal papilomatosis.
Okay, so laryngeal papilomatosis. And what all does that entail? What does it affect? What exactly does that mean for people who aren't really familiar with it?
Basically, I'll have these small little papillomas growing in my airway, and periodically I'll have to get them lasered off so that they don't block my airway completely.
Wow, that sounds crazy. So you've got this rare condition. As far as I was able to see, not many people have it, but there's literally these small tumor-like things that grow in your airways, and you said you need surgery regularly to have them removed. How often do you have to go in for surgery?
It's very different depending on every person. Everyone who has the case has it a little bit differently. For me, when I was a baby, it was like every 3 or 4 weeks, and then as I got older, it got like to every 3 and 4 months, and then every 6 months, and then towards the end of high school, it was about once a year, and now it's once every 6 to 9 months, depending.
Oh, wow. So it kind of goes in phases and it changes regularly, it seems. So that's crazy. 12 surgeries a year at one point. That's a lot. Have you noticed any kind of effects from all those surgeries or just the whole process itself, or?
All the surgery, my voice, because I've had so many laser surgeries, there's scar tissue surrounding my vocal cords, so they can't actually vibrate. So that's why my voice sounds like this. It's not a direct result of the condition, but from all the surgeries I've had.
Wow, that says a lot. And you said they kind of laser it off, and I can imagine that burning kind of feeling in your laryngeal area definitely is rather unpleasant. But what we're here to really talk about, though, is, Megan has this condition, and it's rare, but she is more than her condition. She doesn't let this diagnosis define her, and she doesn't let the prognosis impact how she lives her life. So with that, despite having this incredibly rare and rather extensive disease and having to endure a lot of surgeries and procedures to get it treated, you're still a kind of big fitness influencer by my standards, and you've had a rather extensive endeavor in ice skating. So would you be able to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I competitively figure skated for 13 years. I first stepped on the ice when I was 4 years old. I was on a family vacation, and I absolutely loved it. I begged my parents to keep taking me back in for lessons, and that became a pretty serious thing, starting in first grade. And then from then on, I just stuck with it until I graduated from high school.
Wow, that's crazy. So a family vacation, they took you ice skating one time, and they had no idea what they're getting into there.
Absolutely no clue.
Oh, wow, that's too funny. So you started skating at age 4. I'm trying to remember what I was doing at age 4. I don't know if I could have had the balance or the ability to get by on ice skates. That would have...
My dad was holding me up the whole time.
Too funny. So how did that early process of ice skating look like? Were you one of the little, I think they call them mice on ice or whatever, with the traffic cone wheeling around there?
I never used the code, but when I was first skating, I was extremely slow. When I first started jumping, I would jump maybe like an inch off the ice, like it was barely anything. Like in plain English, I sucked. It was really bad. And later on in my career, one of my coaches even said to me, like, look, I didn't think you were gonna make it anywhere in the sport because I just couldn't jump. I couldn't really do anything, and the stamina wasn't there to like do a program super well, especially like as I got older and the levels got more intense. But probably around 6th, 7th grade, I was watching all my peers kind of progress faster than me, and it was making me mad. And I knew part of it was because I had a respiratory condition, and that obviously is going to impact you as an athlete. So by the time I was 12 or so, I just started training twice as hard as I was, and in my head, I just kind of fully committed to it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make it to the Olympics, which was my dream as a kid. I know that's kind of out of the question, but I can pass all of my tests. And in figure skating, you have to take certain tests to get to the next level and compete at that level. So I was like, I want to get to the highest level. I'm going to get there. That's my new goal. And from then on, I just kind of ran with that.
That's crazy. Just to backtrack a step there, for some people, myself included, I'm not overly familiar with the competitive figure skating world and hierarchy. So you said you were striving for the Olympics and you adjusted your goal to the highest tier or level possible that you could get to. Could you just kind of explain a little bit of that real quick?
Yeah, so in skating, there's different levels. They go from juvenile to senior, and those are the levels that you would compete at. When you're juvenile, that's the first level that you can compete at regionals. Then from there, you can qualify for sectionals, nationals, and then from nationals, that's how you would get to like the Olympic level. So I was able to skate at all of those levels, and I made it up to senior my last year of high school, but I wasn't like competitive at that level to make it out of regionals. So I would always compete at regionals, but I wouldn't be able to place to like go to sectionals and things like that. But I still got to that level.
Well, that's crazy. I can't imagine getting to that level. Like, that's insane.
There, so
And I mean, just thinking about it too, I knew the numbers for soccer when I played, but for skating, I would imagine there's tens of thousands of people competing all across the world to get into these different spots.
yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's a very niche sport. So if you compare it to other sports, there's not that many of us, but there are a lot of people that are trying to get to that top level once they commit to be competitive.
Right. And I'm sure, a lot of those people are at different advantages, so to speak. And you not only hit that level that, thousands and thousands of people were trying for and didn't get to, but you hit it while, living with a chronic condition that there's literally no cure for. There's nothing that can improve. There's nothing that can cure it. There's nothing that can get it better. And you continued to fight through that, and you didn't settle for any excuses or anything like that. You knew what you wanted, and you went out and made that happen, which that's really inspiring stuff. And I think that's the kind of thing the world definitely needs to hear more of right now. I mean, we all know how 2020 was, and we're hoping for a better 2021 here, but you need more good stuff and inspirational stuff like this, of that person who, you had everything stacked up against you, and yet you continued to fight through it, push through it, and overcame and defied all the odds, really.
Yeah, it was definitely a crazy journey, and my two coaches, I'll thank them forever for sticking by me with it because it definitely wasn't easy for any of us.
And you had said before, too, that you were a gold medalist a triple gold medalist, right?
Yeah, so when you get to that highest level, you have to test in order to one gold medal, and then I had to test. Once I got that one, then I would test for senior level freestyle, which is like the jumps and spins. And then I also did ice dancing, which is its own category. I used to compete in that a little bit, excuse me, but I didn't like it as much as jumping and spinning because that was kind of like easy for me. So I was like, this isn't challenging enough. I want to do something else, but I still got all my tests in that category too. So that's how I had my 3 gold medals.
That's crazy. Sounds like a lot of tests here. Jeez. But it's very cool to see that you didn't just kind of settle for one form of ice skating. You kind of dabbled around and did everything, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And that was probably a really good way to express yourself, I would imagine, too, especially the ice dancing.
Yeah.
And definitely a huge stress reliever, too, because I can imagine, different times growing up, there was probably some hard challenges with that. And I'm sure having some way to positively, influence yourself and get that negative energy out, so to speak, was probably very helpful.
Cool.
Cool. So now with ice skating, there's definitely a component of endurance. There's a component of balance, being able to do the different spins and jump and land on one skate, having the lower extremity strength and core strength and stability to do everything that it is that you do on skates. What did your workouts and fitness endeavors look like at the time?
High school, I was probably on the ice at least 20 hours a week. So that was definitely a lot. And then there was a lot of off-ice training. Basically, after every single session, I would go with a couple other skaters to a gym, either upstairs in our rink or somewhere else. We trained with a different personal trainer, and we would do off-ice conditioning that was specific for figure skating. And that would be a lot of like single leg RDL, stuff like that for balance, coordination, and then there'd be a bunch of conditioning, and that would be anything from pushing a sled, bike sprints, or like slide boards. That was always my favorite. Like that.
Very cool. And just to have that dedication and extra commitment from such a young age has probably really influenced you and how you live your life now, I can imagine. So how have your workouts and fitness endeavors and how has everything evolved here? Because obviously now you're in college, you're down in Florida, warmer climate. How has everything kind of changed from then to now?
Well, towards the end of my senior year of high school, my ankle was pretty much shot from jumping so much, so I wanted to continue skating through college, but I also realized it probably wasn't the best for my body at the time, and I had the opportunity to move down to Florida and go to school, so I figured, maybe this is the best time for me to stop skating and do something new. So that was a big adjustment for sure, because that was my whole life up until that point. But I always went to the gym every day, constantly working out, but I obviously did have a definite change in my fitness level. And then this past summer over quarantine, because I was stuck at home and nothing else to do, I was able to get my NASM certification for personal training, which is something I wanted to do when I started college, but I just never really took the time to get it done. And then from there, I just kind of took off doing a bunch of home workouts and creative stuff with whatever I could find, just because I liked having to challenge myself to think about how to work out with a very limited amount of supplies. And from there, I've just been going with that.
Definitely, and that attitude of creativity and not settling for any excuse or anything definitely showed itself. I still remember, I think it was one of the first videos you had ever posted was this video of you doing Zercher squats with a barbell and a couple cinder blocks on each side.
Yeah, so actually during quarantine, I went to Lowe's and I got like a cast iron pipe, 2 cinder blocks, and some rope, and I was like, okay, this is all I've got. And I mean, that only costed me like $40 instead of buying a whole weight rack and all that stuff, so you can make it happen if you want to.
Definitely. And I just remember looking at that video and you didn't have any kind of bar padding or elbow padding or anything on. You were just kind of going for it. And I remember watching that. I was like, Yeah, I was like, wow, this girl has some insane dedication. She's definitely got me beat here, but that's uh,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
figure skating for that for sure.
What was that?
I could definitely thank figure skating for that for sure. Just jumping and throwing yourself on hard ice with like no padding at all. We always make the joke that like hockey players are lucky because they get all the padding and all that. Figure skating, you don't get any of that, so it's just sheer willpower and ability.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I'm a little soft over here, but so with you being down in Florida now, is there any difference between, it's a lot warmer climate, a lot more humid than you're used to up north, and in the Jersey area in the ice skating rink? Obviously, that's a huge difference. So how does that impact you?
I think at this point I'm kind of adjusted to being here, but in the beginning I definitely did feel the humidity a lot more, especially like with breathing. It was a little more challenging for me, but over time, you adapt to it, and I just kept, walking outside, running outside, stuff like that until it became normal to me. And now it's pretty much set in stone.
Right, gotcha. So, have you noticed any kind of impact as time progresses? So, for right now, you just had the surgery, I think last week, to remove the papillomas. So, over time, as the weeks and months progress, after you get away from that, do you notice things become harder? Like breathing becomes more difficult and running becomes harder?
Yeah, for sure. I'll get to a point where it's harder for me to breathe when I'm working out. And like, even my friends, like, I'll just be walking up a flight of stairs and I'll all of a sudden be so out of breath. And it's not that I'm out of shape, obviously, because I'm continuously working out through all of this. It's just that my airways now blocked. So I can over time start to feel it. Like, in a couple months, I'll start to notice, like, okay, it's getting closer to like the time that I need to have surgery again.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just crazy to me how, you know, you've got this condition and yet you just continue to fight through it and you continue to, and I probably sound very repetitive saying this, but it just truly amazes me because I would imagine most people with this condition don't achieve the same level of function that you do and don't do the same things that you do.
Yeah, most people with this condition are not athletes, and I don't know if anyone else with it who's ever figure skated before. But I just started that independently of the fact that I had a condition and got to a point in my life where I decided I was born with this, but I'm not going to let that change the outlook of my life. And from that decision on, I've stuck with it.
That is, wow, that's a perfect message right there. That's the kind of thing that you need to kind of like put in quotes and frame it and read every day before you leave your room or something like that. What amazes me is the just overall influence that one person such as yourself can have on so many other people. How many times do you see people go about their daily life, daily routine, and they're like, oh, I don't really want to do this. I don't really want to do that. Or, I could push myself a little more in this, but I'm just going to settle for being good enough. How often do you see that attitude and just mindset in general in all aspects of life right now? And a lot, yeah.
I've heard people that, especially being a college student, it's constantly around me, for sure.
And just that reminder for people that, there is someone else out there. And Megan is a great example who has been given a lot more challenges in life. And you don't settle. I say that all the time. I've said that probably 1,000 times in this show already. Just you don't settle. You always push for more, strive for more, and always find a way to make it happen. And I just think there's something very powerful behind that. And I hope that other people hear this and hear your story and kind of get inspired and motivated. And, I'm sure your inbox is already flooding from all the things that you do, but hopefully now it floods a little more.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So for the people who want to reach out to you more and see what you're up to, where can they find you?
My Instagram is Megan McEvoy CPT.
Awesome. And this episode is going to air on Wednesday, December 30th. So you have the last episode of 2020. So I will be sure to link everything directly to your profile. So if you have any questions, you can just kind of click on that and head over there. But otherwise, Megan, thank you so much for your time and for your willingness to come on and talk about your life, really. This has been quite an experience, and I hope everyone takes something positive out of it.
Thank you so much. It was great to be on here.
So I don't usually do this, but I'm adding a end note for you all. This is my final thoughts and conclusions about what we just heard from Megan. She is an incredible person, as you have just learned. She is very strong-willed and motivated. However, she has not had it easy. Now, the rest of us, myself included in this, we have a lot of things easy. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I have only had to have surgeries performed maybe 4 or 5 times in my life. I have not had, 100 plus surgeries like she has. I have been pretty physically gifted for the most part. I go out and I run a sub 8-minute mile after not running for 2 or 3 weeks. And there's people who have been running for weeks and weeks that still can't get below an 8-minute mile. I have a lot of blessings that I'm very thankful for and fortunate for. And there are other people out there who would do anything to have those opportunities. And even though they don't have the same opportunities, they don't have that same level playing field, so to speak, they are out there busting their butts and working harder to compete. And that's something that we all need to remember from 2020 and going into 2021, in my opinion, is, there's going to be things that shake you and rock you, and life is not going to be easy. It is, as you know, the world is a very mean and nasty place, and to quote from Rocky here, it will beat you to your knees and leave you there permanently if you let it. No one hits as hard as life, right? But again, quoting Rocky here, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And again, hearing from Megan and just how much she's taken, and she keeps moving forward, stronger and faster and better each time. It's amazing. And that's the kind of attitude, the spirit that I think we all need moving forward here. So I hope her story and her life has as much of an impact on you as it has for me hearing her talk and getting to know her. With that, Happy New Year, and thank you, as always, for your support of the Brawn Body Podcast. Again, make sure you follow Megan at Megan McEvoy CPT, and you can also find us at Brawn Body, Brawn with a W, on Instagram and all that sort of thing. Again, Happy New Year, stay safe, stay healthy, and get excited because 2021 is almost here.